Hey, everybody. Thank you for continuing listening to Frank About Health, episode 9, where I'm talking about I'm being frank about cancer. I've spent the last 45 minutes giving an overview, giving you a whole discussion on alternative treatments, and even thinking about all of you out there who may be suffering from other illnesses and relating to the possibility of a comorbidity relationship with it. This particular show, I'm going to be a little humble now, is dedicated to 5 particular people that unfortunately either they've lost someone in their lives or I've lost them personally. And for me, what I found a little bit disappointing is that it all happened consecutively. First person is my father. His name is also Frank, but as I said earlier, he's in remission and he has been living a better quality of life over the last 12 to 18 months, which is good. The second person is a cousin of mine. Her name is Lorna. She unfortunately had a 6 to 7 year battle with cancer that metastasized from breast to the brain, to the liver, to the kidneys, and she eventually passed on. But the thing is that we were already prepared for it because she was prepared for it. She did exactly what I've been saying throughout this whole show. She was even giving herself a party, celebrating her life, knowing that it was going to eventually end, but she was engaging with the family and saying exactly how she wanted her wake and everything in terms of how to celebrate her when she passed on. Another is a friend of mine named Angela. I don't know how long she has left. She's gotten to the pancreatic stage, but I do know from the friend who's taking care of her that she has lasted longer than she thought. She's in fact lasted 6 months longer thus far. I can tell you that Angela is a very strong woman from what I've heard, and I do believe she will continue to fight as best as she can until that day comes. Another is a former doctor I had. Again, first names only. Her name was Rosemary. Very good, influential person in my life. She actually lived where I live right now. She was a psychologist and she was a researcher, and unfortunately it was colorectal cancer that took her. But I remembered how prior to her death, she continued to focus on making sure that every one of her patients, including myself, was continuing to focus on changing our own lives. She took her own issues and converted them into solutions for others. That's another reason why I'm dedicating the show to Rosemary. And I mentioned earlier that famous actor who was a ghost and who was a dirty dancer. Again, I would have to say he's the leading actor in my mind that comes to someone who lived an inspiring rest of his life through pancreatic cancer. And then there's another mutual friend of me and your conscious consultant who recently lost her mother. I'm not going to mention any more details than that, but I could tell you that she was the inspiration for me to help start this show, and at the same time to meet with your conscious consultant to start the show. And I can only hope that as I speak to her in the next few weeks, that she'll have even more inspiring things to say. I could tell you that having spoken to her about this for the last few weeks, she has already been preparing for it. She has already been accepting of it. She's been doing all that she could to keep the family supported. And even from when I spoke to her, she sounds at peace, at rest, because now the conflict is kind of behind her because they were preparing for the end. Overall, though, what I want everyone out there to do, this, as I said, this last segment of the show is for all of you to take away something from it, whether it's the first 45 minutes of information I gave, or whether it's my own appeal to people that have impacted my life, having suffered from cancer or having recovered from cancer. But cancer in itself is something to be understood as, I hate to use the word lifestyle, but cancer it exists probably every 2 to 3 people, and 2 to 1, 3 to 1 from what I've been hearing a lot and probably just personally experiencing. I think it's something that people have to go forward with in life and understand that it exists. There's a possibility, God forbid, you inherit it or get diagnosed with it. But it has to be understood from not only the medical viewpoints and the research viewpoints, but it has to be understood how it can generate because of a poor quality of life, maybe, like poor diet, not moving around the house, excessive alcohol, probably obesity, doing all that you can to reduce the negative ways that you're living your life right now to a point where cancer may never even be part of your own personal life's equation. I also want basically people out there to understand that as each episode of Frank About Health has brought it down to several layers of different disorders, it has also brought it down to different conclusions. Again, the conclusions depend on yourself. Are they economic? Are they alternative? How are you going to make improvements for family members that may have the illnesses in question? But it has to be kept completely mindful and informative. Again, another piece of information is that we're here to inspire each other. We're here to educate and empower each other. So if I've given you any discussions of cancer tonight, it's been for one goal, is to educate all of you in how to deal with it, interpret it, and help those who have it. Now, I should be able to indicate to you guys that cancer is one of the many disorders that I want to express on this show. Another one that I want to touch upon probably in the next few weeks is heart disease. But I think, again, having dealt with family members and friends who recently have had this episode with cancer, it just became very much in the forefront of my thinking with what it is that I can let you all know out there. Again, thankfully, I do not suffer from cancer at this moment, and nor do I hope that I won't. But I'm just hoping from my own experiences that those of you who are suffering from it right now will be able to make a change in the direction with the information you've had here tonight. I'm just actually going at this as a personal mission of mine to have people out there with various disorders, not just cancer, to just really do what you can to live a better quality of life. I've just discovered in my own life that if it wasn't for some of the treatments that I've undertaken, I would probably not be in the state of mind that I am in today. There were moments there where I thought that my dysfunctions, especially epilepsy, were just going to take me, for lack of a better way of saying it. What I do want to know is, for those of you out there who are suffering from cancer or diabetes or epilepsy or heart or whatever it is, please reach out to me. This show is here to serve as a beginning dialogue between me and the community out there. I also want everyone to understand that there are reasons for this show to exist from a medicinal standpoint, meaning, again, Mark's Marine Pharmacy, based out of Vancouver, Canada. They have provided me with the medications to help treat my disorders, but I can tell you again, their medications, I think, are also constructed through herbal treatments. They have done their own holistic treatment development, and at the same time, they continue to provide the kinds of drugs that you can find here for whatever your disorders are, but they do have a potency effect, which I've noticed that you cannot find as often here. So, for that being said, one thing that you should check out is canshipmeds.com. You can discuss with Jordan Rosenblatt, who was on the show about 5 weeks ago, that he would be able to have a conversation with you, especially if you're suffering from cancer. He can even give you a treatment protocol that probably you haven't thought of. I would say that when you have your pharmacist who's able to really talk with you and educate you about your disorder and the different kinds of traditional, medicinal, and even alternative treatments that you can have, that is going to be a full-fledged treatment protocol, especially when you're not around your doctor. You have to think independently about what your disease is bringing to your life. And again, an issue with cancer requires a thorough discussion, not only with your doctor, but your pharmacist and your own family. You have to continue to develop your own education model to live with this new lifestyle if this is unfortunately your diagnosis. But again, even from the perspective of not having this disorder, anything that I've told you tonight, you could be able to be a source of inspiration and support for those who you know that have this disorder. I don't know if it was some sort of a destiny or a karma for me to have suffered 5 losses in a period of 12 months. But what I did understand is that cancer in itself is not what I always thought it to be, just heart cancer, liver cancer, whatever. I understood it to be an ecosystem, an organic ecosystem that is unfortunately not operating in the way it should be, and that it requires a macro viewpoint, meaning big picture viewpoint, that cancer is not just the problem. You have to find out what the solutions and the education aspects are. And again, I'm going to walk away from this episode saying that you need to focus on alternative treatments and inspiration, and also guidance from different mindful leaders that you may be talking to or blogging with or things like that, because when you have any kind of disorder, it is something that you have to incorporate into your life. Even if you're in remission, it's still part of your life in a historical way. So it becomes something that you have to share with those that are of a major influence or major importance in your life. A lot of people out there on social media, I'm sure, have pages out there of specific diseases that they may have. I mean, again, cancer is something that I see on many different Facebook pages. I mean, I don't see them on personal friends' Facebook pages, but I have seen, the American Cancer Association, or I have seen hospitals that talk about different cancer treatments on Facebook. But the blogging is going to be the most helpful thing, because at least you create a community and a dialogue. Cancer is something that is still going to be researched, is still going to be ongoing in certain people's lives, and is still going to be going through new means of protection, new means of support and treatment. But hopefully you out there can have an active role in that going forward. Well, I think we're at the end of another episode of Frank About Health. We have a few minutes out there. Again, I'm going to say at Frank Healthcare on Twitter, hashtag Frank About Health. You can reach me during the next week, between now and the next episode yet to be discovered. But I will continue to be here for all of you on Twitter, and even when you hear the show streaming again, to talk to and reach out to, and hopefully I can continue to educate you on my own perspective of the disorder of discussion, and in this case, that had been cancer. Okay, thank you all for being frank with me about cancer. I will see you all, speak to you, and tweet you all next week. Thanks again.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative